video is part of the Hello Harvest Open Invite playlist, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it after the first project. Project number 1, Denim Falling Leaves. Yes, that's how we're showing autumn in this project with the leaves. I thought it would be really cool to use this denim that I had laying around. So I'm going to cut apart the 2 legs, separate them, and I'm going to set one to the side and not touch it. And then the other one I'm going to cut in half vertically or lengthwise. Now here I'm putting half of that pant leg in some bleach water. It's 1 cup of bleach with water, but it just wasn't doing anything. So I put that outside because it was gassing us out. And I put 1/2 of the pant leg in the grass and just poured straight bleach on it, and I finally got some results. So I got the other half pant leg and I did the same for it. Rinsed it and set it aside to dry. Now I'm going to cut a dowel to hold the hanging leaves, and this is a Dollar Tree plunger, and I'm just cutting off the ends to make them the same, because one end had those screw marks and the other end was kind of rounded, and I wanted them both to be the same. And I will come in and sand the edges so we don't get any splinters. Now I did do a practice leaf. That's what you see there. I wanted to make sure that I didn't mess up on camera, so I tried it off camera first. So in the bottom left there, that's a macrame feather / leaf that I made, and I really like the shape of it. So that's the shape I'm going for in my leaf for this project. And I'm using the bleach denim here, and I'm just cutting random leaves. I did a wide trace of my practice leaf because it was kind of small. And I wanted it a little bit bigger, and I determined the size of the leaf according to the size of the dowel. This is the size that I thought looked best. And I have lots of extra leaves left over, so I may do another craft with these yet. I haven't decided, but I just cut these out randomly, and I don't show it, but I did cut out the darker denim as well, exact same way. And then I just kind of played around with the different leaves that I had until I was happy with the transition from the top to the bottom, and I'm showing you that practice leaf there. And I'm just going to paint some vines on. I started with a darker color for the darker denim, and then just lightened it up for the next 2 rows. And the final leaf there was almost all white. I really liked that happened to it. All right, now that I have those all finished, I put them back in the shape just to make sure I still liked it, and I really did. So I'm going to work on the 3 top leaves, but again, I do the same for all of them. I'm just going to show you the 3 top ones. And I thought it would be fun to put some fabric on the back, a nice little surprise if the leaves happen to get turned around, which they usually do in a wall hanging. And I just sort of cut it to shape of each leaf and used some matte Mod Podge to attach it. And this isn't fabric Mod Podge, but it works fine. So you do you. You know, if you really want to use fabric Mod Podge on fabric, then go for it. But I didn't have any, and the regular Mod Podge work. Now I'm just cutting sort of like a fringe. I'm just cutting some straight lines on the sides, but also some V shapes. And that's going to help me pull off the little threads and make it look a little bit more rustic. And I also want to mention that I got the idea for this project from something I saw on Pinterest with feathers, and they did like the whole feather was a fringe. So I thought, well, I can do leaves, but not as fringy. But I will put that link down below in my description box. For now, I have some twine. I'm just going to work on getting the 3 ones exactly the same. And I ended up having to hang it up to tie the twine on. And so I was happy with, it was more or less, balanced, more or less straight. And it's okay that it's not perfectly straight because this does have a rustic nature. I faux dyed those beads there just by rubbing them with a baby wipe that I dipped in some burnt umber acrylic paint. And then once that was happened, they practically dry, like right away. And I made a faux needle to help me thread the beads onto the twine. And this is for the hanging cord. If I was to do this again, I might make the hanging cord a little longer, but I'm still pretty happy with how it came out. And I like the balance between the beads on the hanging cord and the beads on the leaves. And I'm just going to clean it up a little bit here. I hot glued the twine from the middle leaf at the top to the twine from the bottom leaf. And I'll give you a good look at this during the final reveal. Okay, jumping in with a little bit more information about the playlist. It's called Hello Harvest, and they do other Hello seasonal playlists. The hosts are Ellie from DIY House to Home and Tammy from The Rusted Willow. The guest host this month is Marla from The Chic Show DIY. Their channel links as well as a link to the playlist will be in my description box below. And my Hello Harvest video is all about denim. So sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. Project number 2, Hello Autumn. And this is just a little cutie pie sign. I like to think of it as a transformation because it's all sleek and pretty and shiny and pink. And we're going to transform it into an authentic fall sign. Let's call it that. So I just pulled the backing out and pulling up those little things there that hold it in. I forget what they're called. And I painted some Mod Podge onto the backing. Same Mod Podge, just the regular matte Mod Podge. That works fine. And I just placed a scrap of denim on top. And I decided to use the darker denim for this sign. I have this, is it Hello Autumn? Yeah, Hello Autumn. I actually had a Hello Fall, but I didn't find it until after I was done with the Hello Autumn. So that would have been really cool, a Hello Fall playlist with the Hello Fall sign, but Hello Autumn is going to have to do. I used a baby wipe, dipped in some burnt umber acrylic paint to do the Hello Autumn sign, and also to do the frame, but I had a little bit of trouble with it because it was so slippery and the paint was just coming right off, so I did actually have to sand it and then paint it, sand it and then paint it. And that worked. And then grabbing some regular old school glue, white school glue. And I put it on the words. And on all parts of the frame, though, not at the same time. And sorry, I'm dog sitting my daughter's dog. She had surgery on her knee and needed to be watched a little more than she could being at work and everything, so I volunteered to take charge of her aftercare and rehabilitation. So what I did there is put the white paint right over top of the glue when it was still wet. And then instead of letting it dry by itself, I brought in my heat gun, and that really brings out the crackle, and I'm really quite happy with how the crackle occurred. Because I did have trouble with the crackle in previous video. So I did make sure there was a lot of glue on there, and that must have helped. And the crackle didn't come out as the same on the word, like as crackly, but I think it's because it was the letters are so small. So grabbing some fabric scraps here, cutting some strips off the denim, as well as some of my favorite ribbons to make a messy bow. And we're just kind of doing it randomly, making an X, but not even using the same ribbons or fabric on top of each other, like just sort of mixing it up. Little bit of this raffia on top, and then I'm using some twine to tie it in the middle, but I will take a piece of denim fabric and cut a little strip just for doing the middle. And get that nice and tight as possible. Then I put the word and backing back into the frame and hot glue the back of the words and put that right on the bottom. Let it sit right on the bottom there. And I love how the balance between the frame and the words. And I think messy bow is a good call. Just gonna put some hot glue on the back there. And I was gonna glue it to the denim, but ultimately I decided to put it on the frame, even though I was covering up some of that gorgeous crackle. I'll give you a better look at this during the final review. Project number 3, Pocket Scarecrow. I'm taking the same denim from the previous 2 projects and determining which pocket I want, and I settled for the bleached one. I'm also going to be using an embroidery hoop to hold the pocket. I think that was like $2 at a thrift store. I saved an image of a scarecrow on my computer, and I was looking at that when I drew it on the parchment paper, and then I looked at that to draw it on the pocket. And I kind of messed up the eyes a little bit, but I'll draw some lines around it later to make it look a little less obvious that I messed up and more intentional. I'm using my Funsel paint markers to do this. And I really like how the nose came out. That's my favorite part. And it's good that I got a good result with the bleach, so the colors actually come out really nice, especially the orange here on the nose. I'll use brown for the eyes because that was what was in the image I was copying. And then a little bit of pink on the corners of the mouth. And then black for everything else. This is my first time using paint or paint markers on denim, and I really wasn't sure how it would come out. And I thought about doing like a white face, but I really didn't want a lot of, thick paint on the denim, because the fun thing about these projects is that they are made out of denim. So I wanted that to be obvious, and I left that as the color for the face. I came in with some of my linen white chalk paint, my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint, do a couple of dots in the eyes, and then some acrylic pink paint to do the corners of the mouth. And there I draw some lines around it, because what happened is I traced it in ink, but then when I did the marker, I didn't go over it exactly, and it was showing. So that's the only real whoopsie in this particular project. So I got that on there, and man, it just barely fit, especially at the top, and I left as much denim there as I possibly could. Now I cut little holes in the sides or the edges of the pocket, and I poked some raffia in through the hole and then hot glued it on the back. I like the idea of the raffia coming out the sides. I saw images where the raffia was coming out of a scarecrow hat, But since I don't have room for a hat on this particular project, I thought it could come out the edges, and I like how it looks. I'm gluing some strands of raffia down on the side just because there was a little drop of paint there. Now I lost some footage of me doing the flowers there. You'll see all of a sudden, presto. But basically foliage for the back and a couple of very different fall sort of colored florals in the front. Just wanted to switch things up. Normally I would make it a little bit more balanced. But I grabbed one of my favorite ribbons, this buffalo check, and I did the awareness ribbon shape, cinched in the middle, and tied it with a twine on the back. I left the strands of twine long and made another bow out of this orange check ribbon. And these ribbons, I think I got both of them on Temu. Used that same twine to attach the orange ribbon to the black. And then I made a little shoelace bow out of the raffia and hot glued that to the very top. And I kind of tried to make the bow part sort of facing different directions, so it gives it like a cool look. Doesn't get lost. The bottom bow doesn't get lost beneath the top one. All right, just going to do some dovetail here, and here it is, and a better look at the final reveal. Don't forget to subscribe and give me a big thumbs up. See you soon.